I'm done whispering about this. We live in a world obsessed with comfort, scrolling, soothing, manifesting, repeating I am like it's a magic spell. But here's the truth that nobody wants to say. You can't heal what you keep excusing. Welcome back to The Void and the Flame. I'm Rachel, or Ray, and if you've been with me for a while, you know that I don't sugarcoat healing. It's messy, it's inconvenient, and sometimes it's the only honest thing left to do. We're nearing the end of season 1, and this episode is the moment we stop mistaking our stuckness for laziness and start understanding what's really beneath it. We've built an entire culture around bypass. Good vibes only. The universe will provide. And all the while, we're avoiding the real work. We want peace without process, light without labor, change without confrontation. Resistance isn't laziness. It's grief. Grief for the version of you that believed survival was enough. Everywhere I go, I hear this. Why do they treat me like this? Why does this always happen to me? But the harder truth is, it's not happening to you. It's actually happening through you. You're not cursed. You're actually just consistent. You keep replaying the same movie because you refuse to walk off the set. Familiar pain still feels safer than unfamiliar peace. Your nervous system knows that script by heart. So until you know yourself at what I like to call a cellular level, your triggers, your tells, your defaults, you're gonna keep mistaking comfort for destiny. Authenticity can't exist where your behavior and beliefs don't match. We do the same thing with love. Most people don't actually know what real love feels like. They just know what their nervous system has learned to survive, right? We equate love with chaos, with anxiety, with the constant need to earn someone's attention. We call it passion when it's really dysregulation. Real love is steady, it's quiet, it's that foreign feeling of not needing to fight for your place. And for those of us raised on emotional uncertainty, that peace can feel terrifying. Sometimes the resistance you feel isn't fear of failure, it's fear of peace, because peace is foreign, and humans are afraid of what they don't know. I think that's a pretty well-known fact, right? We live in a world that doesn't teach peace, it teaches performance. So we have to learn about peace from scratch. To create it, you first have to understand how it feels, looks, sounds, maybe even smells. It's not a concept that you think, it's a state you practice. Here's the thing about peace. It's not loud. It doesn't demand your attention the way chaos does. So when things finally quiet down, most people don't know what to do with it. The mind starts just reaching for something familiar, a fight, a distraction, a reason to run. Stillness feels like a void at first, but that's only because you've never lived there before, right? You have to get used to it. It's foreign. And in that void, you'll start to hear your real voice again. The one that's been buried under noise and survival. That's why people relapse into old habits or toxic relationships when life gets calm. It's not because they want pain. It's because silence feels like death to a nervous system that has only ever known war. Healing means teaching your body that peace isn't punishment, that stillness isn't a threat, it's an invitation. So if you're in a quiet chapter right now and it feels foreign or dull, stay there. You're not regressing. You're just detoxifying from chaos. You know, I've had a few friends say something along the lines of, I see everything I need to change, but I just can't do it. And I love them dearly, but that word can't makes my skin crawl. Can't is usually code for won't. It's protection disguised as powerlessness. Because if you say, I can't, you never have to try and fail. You get to stay safe inside the story. I'm not saying bulldoze yourself. I'm saying get honest. What you call can't might actually be fear, fatigue, or grief, but it's still yours to face. Micro steps count. Accountability counts. Effort counts. Magic shows up when you move. Resistance doesn't always look like, I don't want to do this. Sometimes it looks like procrastination, perfectionism, overthinking, or even sudden exhaustion. It disguises itself as logic. I just need to be more ready. Or as care. I'll help everyone else first, then I'll get to me. But resistance is clever. It knows your favorite excuses by name. It speaks in your voice. It shows up the moment that you're about to expand, because expansion means death to the version of you that kept you safe. And that version will fight to survive. Resistance can look like cleaning the entire house when you're supposed to write, replaying old arguments instead of taking new action. It can look like convincing yourself you don't have time while scrolling for hours. Not guilty of that one at all. Or feeling constant fatigue when you finally get a window of peace. I know that one very well too. But that's not laziness. Honestly, that's grief in disguise. It's your system mourning the familiar chaos. And when you recognize it, you don't need to shame it. You can just say, I see you. You're scared, but we're safe now. Because resistance isn't the enemy. More times than not, it's actually the messenger. Oh, hello, kitty. It's the voice that says, something in me isn't ready yet. So instead of fighting it, listen. Ask it what it's protecting. Ask what it needs to feel safe moving forward. That's how you turn resistance into relationship and grief into growth. Resistance speaks through your body before your mind ever catches up. It's the tightness in your chest when you go to speak your truth. It's the sudden urge to nap right before you take a risk. It's the irritation you feel towards people doing the very thing you say you want to do. That's your nervous system saying, we've never been here before. It's not sabotage, it's just unfamiliarity. And when you can learn to pause and notice instead of react, resistance transforms from a wall into a compass. Every time it shows up, it's pointing towards the next threshold of growth. The most dangerous kind of resistance is the one that hides inside of identity. It's when you start saying, well, that's just how I am. I've always been like this. It's just my trauma talking. Those moments feel like truth, but they're really defense mechanisms wearing philosophy's clothes. Because true healing asks you to risk not knowing who you'll be without the wound, and that's terrifying also, because your patterns have kept you safe for so long. They've started calling themselves you, but you're not your survival strategy. You're the consciousness that outgrew it. I'm sure many of you have heard the term words are spells, right? And I believe that, but a spell only works if the caster believes enough to act on it. You can say, I'm disciplined, but if you hit snooze 12 times, your body's calling bullshit. Guilty. You can say, I am healed, But if you're still avoiding hard conversations, you're not healed, you're hiding. Language opens the door, but action walks you through it. The world isn't designed for authenticity. Let's be real. This system profits off your insecurity. It keeps you scrolling, buying, comparing, competing. Because as long as you're chasing an external version of enough, you'll never stop feeding the machine. That's why authenticity is rebellion. Accountability is revolution. Choosing truth in a culture of excuses is how you burn your way out of the maze. I want to talk about the word anarchy. Most people hear it and picture chaos, fire, rebellion, lawlessness. But the literal definition is without rulers. Anarchy means the absence or denial of authority or established order. It's not about destruction, it's about self-governance. The kind of maturity that comes when people can hold themselves accountable without needing somebody to police them. And I feel like that's why real anarchy would work. You know, when people were self-regulated, responsible, and capable of honest reflection. And maybe that's why it would probably never work here. Because too many of us were never taught accountability without punishment. Real healing is inner anarchy, not burn it down chaos, but that brave, quiet rebellion of saying, I don't need a ruler inside my head anymore. I don't need the old authority system, the shame, the fear, the self-betrayal to keep me in line. I can lead myself. My rules are truth, compassion, and accountability, and everything else can burn to the ground. When you stop obeying the lies that built you, that's not chaos, that's clarity. Now we're going to go into what I am calling the mirror test. But before you answer the mirror test, just pause. Take a breath. Now, I want you to ask yourself, where am I still letting an old ruler live rent-free in my mind? Whose approval, fear, or expectation am I still serving? Where am I still performing instead of being? Where do I confuse avoidance for peace? And where am I waiting for permission to be free? And what would happen if, just for today, you allowed yourself to lead instead? Maybe write it down later or just sit with it. Because sometimes awareness is the only action you need in the moment. Now, funny thing, right before I sat down to record this, a coworker had asked if they could take my shift. And for once, I didn't overthink it. I didn't guilt trip myself about money or obligation. I just said yes, because the reality is I've been exhausted, sore, stretched thin, which I know I did to myself. And I keep kind of pushing like survival is the only option, but survival isn't the same as living. So I took the out the universe handed me. I let someone else take my shift, and I chose to rest, clean my space, and create. Because that's the work. Not the big spiritual fireworks, but the tiny human moments when you finally choose alignment over obligation. That's how the flame rebuilds. Here's the thing. Real accountability isn't shame. It's actually self-respect in motion. It's saying, yeah, I messed that up. I hurt someone, I broke a promise, but I can do better. And then you actually do better. You don't have to make a production out of it. Just follow through. Because growth doesn't need applause. It needs consistency. You know, even with my daughter, it's not perfect. She's 13. She's figuring out who she is. And there are days that we clash hard. And I have to remember that she's mirroring what I once didn't know how to give myself. Grace, accountability, self-awareness. It's uncomfortable watching someone you love wrestle their reflection, especially when you've wrestled yours for decades. But that's cycle breaking. It starts messy. And from a nervous system lens, resistance isn't just activation. The body remembers what once hurt. Your amygdala fires, your stress hormones rise, and your logical brain just goes offline. So when you say, I can't, it's not just mindset, it's chemistry. But the body can learn safety. That's what breathwork, somatics, and repetition are for. They don't erase the trigger. They teach the body a new outcome. That's why integration matters, because healing isn't a download. It's a repatterning. This is where so many healing methods fall short, in my opinion. They slice the human into pieces. Hypnosis for the mind, somatics for the body, NLP for the words, shadow work for the soul. All of these are beautiful tools. Each one opens a different door to self-understanding. Hypnosis can rewire habit loops. Somatics release what words can't touch. NLP helps us change the language of our inner narrator. And shadow work teaches us to embrace what we once condemned. But none of them stick without integration. You can't reprogram your mind if your body's still in survival mode. You can't speak affirmations over unprocessed grief, because grief isn't something that you think your way through. It's something that you breathe your way through. You move it. You cry it. You shake it out of your muscles, one trembling exhale at a time. Integration doesn't mean bypassing your pain. It means including it. It's taking every part of yourself, even the ones you tried to exile, and saying, you still belong here. That's what true healing is. Belonging to yourself again. And healing is the art of putting the puzzle back together. Every piece, every messy edge, and all. I think about an old neighbor of mine, always in drama, always in someone else's business. Every disaster in their life was always someone else's fault. They'd say something like, I see where I went wrong, but then nothing ever changed. Because seeing it isn't the same as integrating it. And negative people attract negative events. Not because the universe is punishing them, but because they keep repeating the same energy. You can't live in poison and expect clean water. It's not about being perfect or positive all the time either. A positive person still has bad days. They just handle them differently. They say something like, this sucks, but I'll figure it out, instead of, why does this always happen to me? Integration is when the lesson changes the behavior. It's when you stop being addicted to your own chaos and start building coherence instead. And that's where I call out bypass culture. The quick fixes, manifest it, the hypnosis shortcuts. I used to work in a hypnosis clinic, and people thought that they could reprogram their minds without ever meeting their pain. And for some, it worked for a while. But what made it last wasn't the sessions. It was actually the choice to keep practicing after the sessions ended. Habit, repetition, ownership. Integration is choosing the new pattern until it stops feeling new. That's the real magic. Again, habit, repetition, ownership. That's the alchemy. The more I really talk about this, the more I see how it could potentially be the same root wrapped in different paper. Self-sabotage, blame, toxic positivity, chaos, all of it comes from the same wound, refusing to look inside. Everyone's searching for a new system, a new partner, a new job, a new affirmation. But the real shift doesn't come from outside. It comes from saying, okay, it's me. I'm the variable. You all know the Taylor Swift song. That's both terrifying and liberating, because when you accept that everything begins and ends with you, you stop waiting for life to hand you peace and you start building it yourself. You already have the materials. You always did. The work is remembering how to use them. This makes me think back to my daughter again here, because right now, accountability doesn't exist in her world. Everything feels personal. Every argument, friendship shift, every look. And I get it. I remember when the whole world kind of felt like an attack. But watching her now, I see it clearly. You know, the moment that she learns to really call herself out, she'll be unstoppable. Because once you can look in the mirror and say, here's what I keep repeating, here's the chaos I bring, you stop giving everyone else so much power. You can't be bullied by what you've already owned. Accountability isn't punishment, it's protection. So when you hold yourself accountable, you stop needing the world to handle you gently. You become your own grounding force. The other day, I opened this app called The Pattern. It sends me daily updates, and I also have CoStar. I love it. But it said, you're being forced to feel things so intensely that you grow in ways you otherwise would not. Find power in the action of surrendering. And that hit me because, yeah, choice and accountability matter. But sometimes the real test is whether you can stop trying to control it all. Free will is the gift, but it also is the devil's bargain. You get to choose, but you don't get to choose the consequences. The work isn't to control every outcome. It's to keep choosing consciously, even when the ground shifts beneath you. That's where surrender comes in. Not as defeat, but as partnership with life itself. You take responsibility for your choices and then release the outcome. That's the dance. Power and surrender. Discipline and grace. The flame and the void. Maybe resistance isn't something to conquer. Maybe it's the contraction before rebirth. Every transformation has a moment where expansion hurts, like lungs filling after years of shallow breathing. You can't skip that discomfort. You just have to remember that it's not the end. It's the inhale before the next life begins. So when resistance shows up next time, I want you to try whispering back. I'm not stuck. I'm just stretching. The explosion isn't destruction. It's exposure. The fire just showed you where the truth was hiding. We're almost at the end of season 1. And next week, episode 12, we'll make peace with the flame. And after that comes our season 1 finale. Woohoo! Episode 13. Lucky number 13, where we'll reflect, we'll integrate, and we'll prepare for the next rise. Then the void and the flame is going to take some time off and reset until January 1st, where season 2 begins brighter, bolder, and deeper. So if this journey has lit something in you, make sure that you're on the list. Visit my site to join the newsletter and stay connected between seasons. That information will be released soon. I'll be sharing behind the scenes moments, bloopers, reflections, and sparks that didn't make it to air. Until then, keep tending your fire. And remember, resistance was never laziness. It was grief turning into growth.